entrepreneur.
We've raised the bar.
Learn firsthand from successful business owners and create your own path to success.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
It's time to hit the road to growth with team lead of the Enriquez Group, Realtor Vinny.
Hi, Roach Growth listeners. Today I have Paige. She is the founder and CEO of Global Marketing and Branding, Mavens and Moguls. Thank you, Paige, for being here today.
Thanks, Vinny. Thanks for having me.
So a one-stop shop of branding. To raise funds, find clients, to start a business, new product line. Is that kind of a rough synopsis, or kind of walk us through a little more of kind of what Mavens and Moguls does?
Sure. So we're like a virtual marketing department for organizations that need help doing anything under the marketing umbrella. It could be marketing research. It could be building a website, designing a new logo, finding a new tagline, helping do business cards, stationery, PR, social media. So kind of a one-stop shop for all things marketing. And we help small businesses, medium-sized businesses, Fortune 500, nonprofits, you name it.
So how long has Mavens and Moguls been around for?
I started the company 21 years ago. I can't even believe it. It's my longest job by, I don't even know. I think my longest job before this was 3.5 years.
So, I'm assuming a lot of transitions with like technology and kind of how you sell things. So let's rewind a little bit to a young Paige. Was she more into, I guess, technology, more into branding, more of just being engaging? Where did the roadmap kind of come from?
So it's been a very circuitous route. When I was a student, I thought I would be the next Meg Whitman. I was going to go work at a Fortune 500 company, and I was going to go run it one day. And my first job out of college was on Wall Street in the 1980s. And I really thought I was going to be a finance person my whole life. And after 2 years on Wall Street, I think I had enough. And I went back and got an MBA and rebranded myself to be a marketing person. And I started my marketing career at Procter & Gamble doing consumer products marketing. I went to Coca-Cola. I worked for the Olympics. And then I got bitten by the dot-com bug in the kind of mid to late 90s. And I joined an internet startup as the head of marketing and have been kind of in this dot-com internet entrepreneurial world ever since. I was the head of marketing at 3 different startups, 1 in Los Angeles, 2 here in Boston. And all 3 of them had really good exits. And when 9/11 happened, marketing pretty much disappeared everywhere because people got scared and wanted to conserve cash, and the stock market went crazy. And I hung out a shingle to do independent consulting for marketing. And I've been doing it ever since. So when I started Mavens and Moguls, there really was no social media. Facebook was really for kids, for students. There was no Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn. So the nature of marketing and online marketing has changed tremendously in the last 21 years. And we just keep pivoting, and we're helping companies use whatever tools are out there to tell their story in the best way.
So with the consulting avenue, so you're working for the companies. Now, what was that transition? Was it, okay, I'm going to consult with the companies I'm currently working for? Or what was that transition to get you from working for the corporate world to starting your consulting company?
I took baby steps. So I started with the big companies and I got excellent training, but it was moving so slow and there was so much hierarchy. And, I just got impatient. And when the internet world took off, I just wanted to work for smaller, scrappier, faster moving companies. And then I did that for a bunch of years for those 3 startups. And then when the, world changed after 9/11, I hung out a shingle and I did it independently. So I didn't go straight from big corporate to all on my own. I just kind of inched my way here.
So, what did that look like? Was it, were you pushed into it? I mean, I know you said it was slow. The process is slow. So was it just frustration and going, okay, I'm going to start this thing? I mean, because there's usually a catalyst that happens, and there are those rarities that I've had on the podcast where it's a slow burn, or they go, okay, I need to have this much money in my bank account, and then I'm going to transition over. I mean, what was that situation for you?
So for me, I guess it was kind of a push and a pull.
Okay.
So after heading up marketing at 3 different startups and they all had good exits, I made a little bit of money 3 times. I'm not Sheryl Sandberg. I didn't work for LinkedIn and Google and Facebook. So I didn't make $2 billion, but I did make a little money 3 times. I call them my 3 base hits. And so when 9/11 happened and all these companies, they basically shut down their marketing, because if you remember, the stock market dropped like hundreds of points and people wanted to conserve their cash. And the best thing, the quickest thing they could possibly do is like, let's pull our marketing, pull our advertising. And because I had worked at 3 venture-backed startups, I knew a lot of people in private equity and venture capital who had portfolio companies that needed marketing, but they no longer had a marketing department because they got fired. So people started calling me saying, Paige, we need your help. Like, can you come do what you did for this other business? And my first instinct was, no, I'm not really a consultant. I'm the client. I'm the chief marketing officer. But my husband's like, Paige, there's a red flashing sign in front of you. These people trust you. They want you to help them. You know what to do. So I started calling all my favorite marketing people from my career, and they had all just been laid off because all the marketing jobs had disappeared. So I had people, I had projects, and I put them together. And I called the women the marketing mavens and the guys the marketing moguls, built a website with a college buddy of mine, hung out a shingle, and we were open for business. So I never wrote a business plan. When I was in business school, I don't even think people talked about being an entrepreneur. Back then, people wanted big corporate jobs. So I joke, I'm like the accidental entrepreneur. I kind of got into it through the back door.
With the infrastructure, being that it was kind of like pushed together a little bit, right? Where you had the jobs, you had the people. Were those people originally 1099, or were they W-2?
Everybody to this day is 1099.
Okay.
We're all virtual. I have people in 14 cities around the country, and I have people overseas.
So that monthly expense was probably fairly minimal then, if everything's job 1099.
Exactly. Very low overhead. And so we could really be thoughtful about every piece of business we took on.
Yeah.
It had to make sense. I didn't have to do it to cover rent. I didn't have to do it to cover payroll. People get paid when they have work, and that's it. We were virtual before the Great Recession. We were virtual before COVID. So we're very flexible. We are very market sensitive.
Has there been a time where you looked at the numbers and said, hey, I could do this a better way, I could bring this in-house, or anything like that?
I really love the way we can be so nimble and focus all our energy and attention on the task at hand. I don't think adding overhead or structure makes sense for this business. I think the longer I've been doing it now for 21 years, I think we're actually more relevant today than we were when I started the company 2 decades ago.
And then kind of working with the punches, because like you talked about, Facebook and these other platforms weren't really around, and they become huge marketing avenues, right? So when you're bringing on a new person that's, an expert in that field, what's your onboarding process to see if they're right for that project? What does that look like?
So when I started, the original dozen people were all people I worked with in previous lives. So we knew each other. We had worked together in brick and mortar businesses. And as we've grown, I've added people through my network and through contacts that have said, Paige, you got to meet this person. Or, hey, if you ever need somebody to do XYZ, I highly recommend this person. So I've just added kind of through my referral network, through my friends and family network, and everyone, the thing that's unusual about us compared to a traditional consulting firm or ad agency, we're not structured like a pyramid. It's not like me at the top as the founder and CEO, and we have these layers of different vice presidents and managers and associates and entry level. Everybody in the organization, the original people that joined and the people I've added, are all seasoned marketers. We all have like 20 plus years experience in marketing. So the leverage in the model does not come from the fact that I have junior people that I mark up 3 or 4 times. The leverage in the model is that I've got people with different networks. So if they know you, trust you, like you, they're going to call you for help. And if they know me, trust me, like me, they're going to call me for help. But I don't do everything in the marketing umbrella. I only do certain things really well. And we do PR, we do market research, we do advertising, we do social media, we do websites. And so through my network, I've got people who are experts in all of those areas. So if you bring work into the network, you get a finder's fee, whether you work on it or not. So that's where the leverage comes from, not the traditional agency model.
Talking about the model, then what's the value add? Is it simply that you have the connections and these 1099 individuals couldn't find them on their own?
So it's the network effect. I would say the competitive advantage that we offer is that all of us were clients in a previous life. We are not professional PowerPoint people. We are not professional service providers. We are professional marketers, professional researchers, agency people, designers. So when you hire us, we're an extension of your team, and our heads and our hearts are very much aligned with yours. So I'm spending your money the way I would have spent your money when I was the client. We have a lot of situations where people reach out to us and they say, I have a budget of, I don't know, $20,000 or $30,000 or $50,000. Can you help me do blah? I need some advertising. But then when we talk to them, it turns out that they may need advertising, but before they spend money on advertising, they should do a little research. They should do other things before they spend the whole budget on advertising. So a lot of times we go back to people that tell us, I want to spend $50,000. And we say, you know what? Why don't we spend 15 or 20? Let's do this. Let's test. Let's learn. And then we'll spend more money down the road, but let's not spend it all up front. And a lot of clients come back to me and say, I told you I had a budget, and why are you telling me I don't need to spend all the money? And I'm saying, I don't know if you need to spend all the money, but when I was in your chair, here's what I wanted to know before I spent that money. And I think our clients really appreciate the fact that we spend their money the way we would have spent it when we were the client. So it's not like, when you don't have a lot of overhead, it's not like I have to have the money to pay rent, to pay payroll. It only makes sense to take on work if we really know we're going to hit it out of the park every time, because my business comes by referral and word of mouth. So I want every project to be a grand slam.
And I understand that with the customers, more so, I guess, with the 1099 individuals, the people the marketers, right? For them, being with Mavens and Moguls, right, is the value add because they're backed by this name, or they can't find those customers? Is it the system that you've kind of worked through about the consult? What's that kind of value add for those individuals too?
So it's a couple things. For one, you can do business without selling business, and you can sell business without doing business, which is great from a consulting standpoint, because usually you're either selling or you're working, but you can't do both. And in Mavens, you can do both. So that's a big value add. The other thing is, like I said, I have an amazing network of talent, but you're not good at everything. Everybody's got things that they are just amazing at, and other stuff they can do, but they don't love it, or they're just not that great at it. And the network effect is I can build teams so that every single person on the team is like a bullseye for exactly that part of the marketing mix. So you want the best researcher doing your research. You want the best designer doing your logo or your website. You want the best PR person pitching you to the media. And I can form these teams where everybody is like an A++ on the team. You're not getting someone who's an A in this, but kind of a B- or a D in something else. And I think there is something to be said for being part of a brand, the Mavens and Moguls network. We're like the good housekeeping seal of approval for marketing talent. So, if you're hiring Mavens and Moguls, you're getting really solid, seasoned, awesome marketers on your project.
And building Mavens and Moguls, I mean, what have you seen has been the biggest kind of hurdle to get to where you are right now?
Wow. I mean, I've got so many war wounds and scars along the way. At each stage, I think there have been different lessons learned. Early on, I think what I see with a lot of startups is they want to jump right into all the fancy bells and whistles. They want a fancy website. They want fancy stationery and business cards and, the logo with the foil and the gold and the silver and all the splashy website, all the bells and whistles on their website. The truth is, when you start, you just need some really good reference clients who can go to bat for you and be testimonials and champions for you. And so early on, it's like, don't get distracted by all the bells and whistles. Build your business, get some solid reference clients, and build from there. Then as we started to grow, the people you start with are not always the ones who are in a position to grow with you. And I think, as we went from like very early stage to kind of, start our first year, I think we quadrupled in sales, then we tripled in sales, then we doubled in sales, but the base kept getting bigger. And some people were really comfortable with that growth, and other people got very threatened and territorial. And that's not the culture I wanted to build. I wanted people who were really go-getters and comfortable with a high growth environment. And so, it was time in the first few years to shake hands and part ways with some people that had been helpful at the beginning, but they weren't growing with us. And then, as I said, we survived the Great Recession. We've survived COVID. Before the recession, the majority of our business was retainer business. And in the recession, retainers felt very scary to companies because it was a big cash draw. And so they wanted to migrate into more project-based work. So now most of our work is projects. There's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. And we have less work that's on retainer because that's just not where the market is anymore. So you have to be flexible, you have to pivot, and you have to be responsive to the market needs.
If we were talking in 5 years from now, where do you see, and I know you've been around for 20 or some, and where do you see yourself in 5 years with Mavens and Moguls?
That's an awesome question, Vinny. So, I see Mavens as a platform to do stuff that I love doing. And I named the company not my name because I always thought the concept was bigger than me. So I see Mavens and Moguls continuing to be a network of these amazing rock stars. Whether we're still limited to just marketing or doing other stuff, I don't know. But I feel like I've set up a foundation for success. Like, I do stuff that I enjoy doing. I sit on boards, I give speeches, I do a lot of writing, I do a lot of coaching. And so I think I'm going to continue to extend the Mavens and Moguls brand into areas that are interesting to me, that allow me to leverage my talents, my skills, and my network to help clients thrive and be super successful. But what that looks like, I have no idea, to be brutally honest.
Well, thank you, Paige, so much for being on the road to growth. If someone's listening and they're looking to get an assessment to kind of figure out kind of what's possible, what's doable. I mean, the venture capitalist one is something that I haven't really heard of a branding and marketing company talk about. So that's kind of an interesting play. I mean, so if someone's listening and they're looking for all those different avenues or thinking about it, what's the best way of them getting more information?
The two best ways are my website, mavensandmoguls.com. It's MAVENSANDMOGULS.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn doesn't use hyphens, so it's Paige Arnof-Fenn, all smushed together. PAIGEARNOFFENN. And because my last name's hyphenated and my company's got an ampersand, one of my clients always tells me she forgets all the names and words and whatever, and she just Googles Paige and Mavens, and I pop right up. So thank God for search engine optimization.
I'm going to finish up one last question. If we were talking next year in 2024, right? And based on the time you're listening to this, it might be this year. So things could change. But if we were talking in 2024, what's the platform where you think that someone can invest in that's going to give the best return on marketing? I know people were talking about like TikTok and other platforms leaning away from like Facebook, but I mean, where do you see that best return at?
So there are going to be new tools and technologies. There's just new stuff all the time. I have no idea what the latest and greatest is going to be a year down the road. What I tell people is don't spread yourself too thin. Pick things that are play to your strengths and reflect you and your brand the best. For me personally, that platform is LinkedIn. It's a professional network. It really lends itself to thought leadership. You can post articles. You know, if you like to blog, blog. If you like to tweet, tweet. But don't try and do everything, because what you end up doing is you dilute your brand. You're spreading yourself too thin. If you start a blog, you need to blog a lot, and you need to be active on the blog. You can't just do it willy-nilly because people don't know what to expect. And I think, you got to build a consistent brand across platforms. You can't be snarky on Twitter and then really buttoned up on LinkedIn and then show all your kind of spring break beach photos on Facebook, because people are seeing all of it. And what you're doing is you're sending very mixed messages and you're confusing your audience and you're not building trust. And branding is about building a consistent message and building a trusted brand. So I guess what I would tell people is, pick your weapon and use the best weapon you've got and put your best face forward and do it consistently and do it really well so that people build a relationship with you, that you build a strong community. People know they can find you and they know they can refer business to you and that you're going to do a great job. So I don't know. I wish there was a simpler answer to that, but I would tell people, stick to your strengths and don't get distracted.
Well, thank you, Paige, for being on the road to growth. Hopefully everyone listening got some nuggets. I mean, one of the key takeaways I got was just community. I mean, having that community and also being aware of your community, right? I mean, you could bring people on because you like them. Yeah, if they're not doing what you need to do, it might be time to let them go. But community, understanding people, knowing people, you should be able to thrive. Thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe. Please share. Go in the show notes. Go find Mavens and Moguls. Thanks, everyone.